we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to Whiskey Charlie, the War Game Chat, our monthly show on YouTube. I'm your host, Mo from Mo's Game Table, and joining me are my two awesome, wonderful co-hosts, everybody's favorite Gimp with the Limp, the Gimpy Gamer, Nate Rogers. How's it going, Nate?
Another glorious day in the core, man.
There you go. And the notorious War Game Wizard from Oz, Kev Sharp from the Big Board. How's it going, Kev?
Kev is good. He is now just trying to get his headphones sorted out. So
It's about friggin' time. Stop whispering like a little bitch.
Wow, that was harsh.
Brutal.
You're not supposed to treat the elderly like that, man. Come on.
Oh,
He's not older than that. He's not that much older than me.
Dude,
We're pretty much the same age. So
I know that was a 2-for-1.
yeah, back at you. So it's gonna be one of those
it's
shows.
going to be a rough night
Yep.
tonight.
Yeah, shots fired already. Hey, Brian, how's it going? And Brian gets a big, huge thank you from the Whiskey Charlie crew tonight
Oh, yeah.
for his generosity.
Oh yeah, I got the email from him the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
do?
I
Kool-Aid guy?
replied shut up. Yeah, I replied back to him. I told him thanks. I appreciate that. That was good looking out.
It's exactly it. New year, yank off the bandages. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Hey,
Yo.
Welcome to the show. He's over in Spain enjoying the con. How's the con going, Joe? I hope it's going great for you. But yeah, Brian was super cool and sent us each a little something. First thing he sent was D100 Space to me. And then Kev, he's sending
Rhodesian
the White Tribe.
White Tribe. Yes.
Mhm. Nate?
I don't know what it is yet. I just know it's from Tiny Battle.
Oh, you don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, he
It's a
didn't tell me what the title was, but you told me what the title was.
Oh,
Brother.
well, not
I'm
gonna tell
kind
him.
of jealous though. I've heard about D100 Space. I'm interested in that one. Let me know how it is. Tell me
Yeah,
if
you
it's
guys,
any good or
can,
not.
you guys can swap later or something. You can do like people do a wife swap. You two can do a game swap or something.
Oh, I thought it was already underway. It hasn't started to the 26th, so it shows you where the hell I've been. But yeah, no, you'll find out when you get it. Unless Brian wants to leak it here in the chat, I'll let him say it. I'm not going to say anything. It's up to him. But no, that was really cool of him to do. He really did not need to do that. We definitely appreciate that, Brian. And that's really super awesome of you.
I think the next time we do a draw, we need to give Brian 2 entries so that he has a bigger chance.
2. Yes.
No
Yes,
sense.
absolutely.
Just two.
Yeah, I got all my stuff mailed out too. I had thanks to all the giveaways I did, I had 4 or 5 packages going out there after Christmas. So I hope all those arrived and everybody was happy with everything.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah, I got mine out actually before Christmas, and when I sent it out, one of the people sent back to me, says, "Dude, it's Christmas. You didn't need to go there before Christmas. You should have waited till after." And I was like, "Nah, I was trying to get it there as soon near Christmas as possible." And it was a little crazy in the post office when I went there, but I was hoping maybe because they had extra people on, maybe they'd get the packages a little quicker or not. So
we're the 3-man team that keeps on giving.
exactly.
Actually,
So,
I was going to do mine before Christmas, but I think I had a similar procedure that you did. Didn't you have that nerve thingy, where they go in, they deaden the nerves? Didn't you tell me that before?
For the neck?
Yeah, when you did your neck thing.
Yeah, I had that numerous times where they go in and they give you the steroid cortisone shots in the neck. Yeah.
Yeah, they did that, the ablation. They did it on my spine. It was actually right after Christmas, a few days after they were able to work me in down for a couple days, but now I can actually sit there for a little bit without hurting like hell. So,
well, when you said it was here, I was like,
too.
Yeah, you look a little taller.
No,
you're going like this, so I thought you were pointing to your head, your brain. They kind of went in.
I wish they could fix that.
Did an ablation to your brain.
Yeah, dude, I told you at one point, one of those neurologists was like, "Hey, yeah, we could take some electrode thingy, we could stick it in there, and that might help." And I'm like, "Do I really want
my fingers in a
VA?"
socket?
No, I am never going to let the VA cut into my skull. That's just not going to happen. I'll just die. All right. No, never risk that.
You'd be better off sticking a fork in a socket at home. You'd probably get about the same outcome than having them cut into your brain.
Yeah, my little girl almost did that exact thing the other day. Actually, we've got a socket that's blackened because she had some little metal rod in her hand, and she went to grab the plug, and all of a sudden we saw this like blue flash, pow, And I grabbed her real quick, yanked her away, and for some reason she wasn't touched. Her hand wasn't hurt, but the
Damn.
socket was just black. She had
Wow.
crossed some kind of short circuit. Nothing caught fire. Everything was fine. The plastic was just burned. God
Damn.
looking out on that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Man.
Well, Brian, it's our pleasure too to give you the entertainment. We have enjoyed doing this and having you guys come along for the ride. Jason, congrats on year 4. Thank you. Appreciate that. And Jeff Anderson, good evening. Yeah, it's year number 4 for us. So it's we're 4 years old. In our antics,
candy?
some people would say, yes, that is about fitting.
Do we get
But
candy?
yes, we can have candy tonight. So how was everybody? I would say the viewing public. They put us in syndication and we've been a hit ever since. But if when it came to the holidays, how was your guys' holidays?
Go ahead, Gim. You probably got a longer story than me.
It's kids, man. I've got young ones. They went nuts. Santa took care of them. He got them a trampoline, so they were very happy about that. But they were not happy that Daddy had to wait till after that little back surgery thing before I could finally get it put together for him. But they've been playing that nice big, like 12-foot trampoline, so they've been going nuts over that. And the wife came through. I actually got to give her this one. She got me a big ass skull throne Reaper dice tower thing that's like 1.5 feet tall that lights up and all this other shit. I can barely fit on my table, but it's awesome. And I'm trying to think what else. The kids just, you know how it is. It's Christmas. The kids went nuts. They played with all the toys, and then I had to spend the rest of the day putting it all together.
That thunder or wind over by you?
It's wind. Like I said, I had to switch back to my microphone because the other setup, for some reason, did not record well.
No, okay.
Like, I could hear you guys, but my voice would not record. It was like I was whispering. This is the only way I can set it up to where I can capture all the audio.
Should we tell them we actually had your volume turned down?
Did you really?
No, I'm just kidding.
I was getting ready to say I'm going to come through the screen and strangle you. It's driving me nuts. It's like the past 3 episodes I've been trying to figure out what's going on with that.
No,
I will say,
no.
I do have a lot of cool stuff getting ready to be featured. You know how it is. Every publisher comes in waves, right? Are you muting me or something? I'm getting ready to like come through the screen and hurt you guys.
No, but I did turn your volume down just to show that, yeah, we could do that if we wanted to.
What, right now?
It's back up, but I just put it down for a second, and that's why Kev started laughing. It's year 4. We have to act like 4-year-olds now, so have to have some stupid antics.
All right.
Continue.
But anyway, that publisher that I mentioned to you guys, the one from Cadet Games, he's coming through with the Vietnam game, so I'm going to try to get him some extra coverage.
Nice.
And Assault Red Horizon finally came in, so I'm getting ready to get that one back to the table with the expansion.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there was something else, and I'm brain fart. Oh, I was actually just playing with it before we got on this. A game called Second Front by Microprose.
Oh,
It's
really?
it's a PC game.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent me a code for it. It's releasing at the end of this month. And after playing with it a little bit, it's like you took a Hex Encounter tactical skirmish World War II game and imported it down into a PC. They've done a good job with it. I haven't gotten really deep with it yet, but so far what I've seen, I like. So we'll have to see how that pans out, but I'll be filming that one pretty soon. But if people are interested, that one releases on the 31st of
Very
January.
cool. Very cool. Kev? Your holidays.
Christmas, yeah. I'm just trying to think. That was nearly a month ago. I have no idea. It was awesome. Picked up some great books. Picked up the rest of the Ian Toll series and other bits and pieces and all that sort of good fun stuff. The kids are older, so it's all kind of skimmy money, right? So we did a lot of that, and then cooked a lot of food. And I haven't really done a lot of gaming. I've played one lock and load session. I've got a great campaign to the American Civil War set up that I haven't touched for a week and a half. It's just been super busy, with other stuff. So I'm excited about getting focused back on rolling some dice. So hopefully this coming week or next week will be good. Oh, the only big thing I'm doing is this weekend I'm catching up with Herman Luttman.
Yes.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, so we're going to have dinner together on Saturday night, and so then I'll use that as an opportunity to interview him on all the different stuff he's sort of got in development and working on, and then we'll go have a glass of wine and eat some food. And he's actually come up for wherever he lives. I forget where he lives now, but he and his wife are coming to town. They're 2.5 hours away, and they're going to stay at the same hotel. So we're going to hang out and chill, do some stuff.
I know Herman messaged me the other day. He says, I'm actually scheduled to visit with Kev next weekend in Nashville. How cool is that? Wish me luck.
Wish him luck.
So,
maybe we'll bring a game and I'll get to play something. I don't know.
There you go. There you
I don't know
go.
what his plan is. So,
if you go to a good enough restaurant, you can test how good the restaurant is by the table space. Break out a most fearful sacrifice, and if it can hold the game, then you know it's a good restaurant.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, imagine laying that big sucker out. We need a table for 12. Well, there's just two of you. I know, but we need a table.
But we need the table space.
You would have to have one of those big ass round, at least 8-person seaters to be able to fit that thing on.
Hey, Rich, how's it going?
Go to one of those big Chinese buffet places, right?
What are you going to Nashville for?
I'm going to a funeral.
Oh, my condolences.
Yeah, no, nobody I know. I'm participating. It's a.
You don't want to participate in a funeral.
I was wondering where he's going with that.
No, it's a dear friend of my wife's family, and
okay.
her dad has Alzheimer's, so he can't go. So she's going to represent. I'm going to be the eye candy, and if you can call this eye candy, then I guess that's about tells you the caliber of the people that'll be there. And then
it is Tennessee, right?
Yeah, it is Tennessee. Well, I have most of their teeth. And then we're going to visit with extended in-laws and stuff like that, other folks on Friday. So that's kind of the plan.
What's Herman doing there? I thought Herman lived out in like California or some shit.
No, Nashville.
He lives in Tennessee, man. Nashville.
Well,
he doesn't live in Nashville, but he lives near Nashville. Somewhere
near Nashville, yeah.
Like 2 hours away, something like that. So.
Mm-hmm. So being that he lives out there, he's going to come visit Kev. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Good excuse to get away from the family for a little while.
He's bringing the missus with him.
So, I was going to say, he's not going to get away. He's bringing her with him.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You shove the wives off somewhere and hope they get along and dip off to go get some game time in.
So Brian was saying, he said, Micro Bros made some really good stuff back in the 80s. Many hours of the old Commie 64 playing Gunship, Strike Eagle, Stealth Fighter. Very true.
And XCOM.
Well, that was a little after
XCOM,
that.
Dude, yeah. XCOM was awesome. The original XCOM was so good.
Yeah. He is right though with the squad leader reference that he made. It does have that kind of feel to it.
Is that where you're setting waypoints? The game you're talking about, you're about to play. You're setting waypoints for all the individual troops and stuff like that. Is that what?
No. You're thinking of Flashpoint campaigns.
No, not that. No, this is I'm familiar with that game, and I haven't got the expansion yet. But I saw a game either you were playing or someone else was posting images of where it's discrete men being moved up, and you're setting waypoints for them and or organizing them by squads and moving them and stuff like that. It looked pretty cool on PC. I was like, ooh, that might be something I could do.
Anyway. I've covered a handful of PC games here recently, but none of those sound right. Most of the rest all have like squads.
We'll talk about it later. I'll find it for you. I'll find the game. You might know about it before I go buy it.
Nice. So yeah, Christmas came and went, and was a little busy, but then I got really busy when I went on vacation. First of the year, I just got off vacation and back to work, and I just feel like I need to take a vacation from the vacation. It just was like one thing after the next, and not the most relaxing vacation, but hey, it is what it is. So next one.
Is your wife still renovating things?
No, not really. Right now, she's actually spending time getting prepared for a charity that she works on. They're having an event next month. She's real involved in a breast cancer charity. So they're having another event in February. Same type of event they had last year, except this year they're having it at a different venue. And there's a lot of work that goes into that. So she's been putting in a lot of hours.
Oh, that's awesome, though.
And then one of the things we did last year during that was they have auctions and stuff. So I won her an auction for getting a 4-hour photo shoot. So with a really good photographer and everything. So of course, it's a photo shoot. So women have to go all out for the photo shoot. So she spent like the past couple of weeks buying dresses and buying outfits and buying new shoes and trying them all on and getting them, taken in and everything. And then she went to the photo shoot last week and did all that for a few hours. And then I showed up at 1:00 and we did some couple shots because we've never done any of those formal type shots before or nice photographer shots other than just, hey, here's our camera, let's take a quick selfie. So we did some of those too. So that was the highlight, I think, of the 2 weeks, and then back to work today. So
Did you wear the hat?
I did not wear a hat
Should have
because
worn.
I actually do have hair.
Not that hat. The beanie.
The beanie.
Yeah.
You mean the orange hat, the Jane hat? No.
Yeah, the Jane hat.
No.
Should have worn that. That would look good for you.
I don't think she would have liked that.
That's
So
funny.
See,
if
I
busy,
won,
I haven't even played any games. I've just been busy working on stuff, including working on games.
you should have had the photographer come to your house. That way you could use the pictures for the channel. Have a bunch of shots set up for your game. Like, all right, get it from this angle. Now I'm going to move these pieces.
Oh
Get
yeah,
it from this angle.
I could do the serious shot. Like
Yeah, exactly.
like
The
that.
thinking man, right?
Oh, I could. Speaking of that, I just got this magazine in today, Paper Wars, and I think it's kind of the thing now to sit there and with the magazine. I guess I should take that photo shoot.
Yeah. Everybody, I've noticed that everybody's doing that with
I know.
magazines.
I gotta get in on
look,
that.
I have a magazine. Let me take a picture of me reclining in a chair. Do I look distinguished and intelligent? Yes, I do.
I need to get an ascot and a pipe.
Yes.
And sit there, and I'll have the magazine like this.
Well,
when I do it, it'll be upside down.
I'm going to do mine from the potty. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to.
The notorious KEV.
Stand by for photographs.
There you go. So, so we're into 2023 now, which is great. And we've got a whole bunch of games to look forward to this year. And then we also did have the CSRs were announced on Christmas, actually.
They did finally announce that?
Yeah, no, they did the whole thing, and hats off to them for getting that done before the end of the year, getting it done on Christmas. That's a lot of work to do all that. So,
Really?
Got it all in there, and then there's a whole new charter up and everything. So, it seems like it's starting to shape up and moving in the right direction. So that's a good thing. It was still kind of funny, I think, with some of the awards. I think we've talked about that a little offline, and we can talk about it here tonight. And of course, everybody can chime in the chat too if you got any comments about the Charlie Awards. Wife hitting in with the rolling pin. It's funny that you bring that up because I got a real quick little story about rolling pins. There was holy crap, you got a massive thunderstorm over there.
No, I'll try to mute it when the wind blows. For some reason it picks that up.
There was a rolling pin when my wife and I were first together. She needed a rolling pin. It was Thanksgiving or something like that. I went, and I swear I went to like probably about 7 or 8 stores. No one had a rolling pin. And she was like, oh, I'll just make do without it. And then after that, of course, every store we went into, there were rolling pins everywhere. And I was like, son of a bitch, how is it always that case? She needs a rolling pin. I go to 7 or 8 stores. She's like, I can't believe you can't find one. I just couldn't. And then every other store after that, you can't help but run into them everywhere. They're even she'd be in the clothing section. There's a rolling pin. It was just like, oh my God, it's like fate mocking me.
You couldn't find one when you need one.
Exactly.
It's so funny. That's how life is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the way it always is. Hey, Ken, how's it going? See your game's coming out finally. People power. That's the running joke between John C. and me. So, Bayonet Brandt. Mark Herman can look distinguished sitting there with a magazine. The rest of us look like we're trying to be Mark Herman.
No, that's funny.
So, yeah, it was either here or put up with Dan Pencaldi. Oh, wow. Thanks, I think.
Is that really a question?
That was, oh wow.
Is he live tonight?
Shots fired.
Yeah. Ooh, brutal.
We could be like him.
Competition.
We could be like him. Let me tell you something. I don't know.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So the CSRs were up, like I said. And did anybody have any thoughts from the audience? I want to see if we can get something from the audience first before we even talk about it.
Yeah. Who got excited
So
about it?
Try to see if I can pull it up.
The one-sided popularity contest.
Yeah. Well, there's a question for everybody. Maybe you guys know what I understand that for the opening rounds, are games nominated by individuals, out in the public, or is it a fixed set of games that are first nominated and then you vote, or is it just open slather and then they cut it and take the top 5? Does anyone know what the actual initial nomination process is? Because that I don't recall it, and I don't know if it's changed.
Let me see if I can get this to share. Oh, go away with that damn thing. Oh, there we go. Why is that? Okay. So we've got, let me go ahead and maximize this.
Yeah.
Scroll up to the top here and it says Best Ancients to Medieval Era Board War Game up here at the top.
Yeah.
And it's just for war games set before antiquity to the Middle Ages through 1453. There was The Grass Crown from Hollandspiel, Mediterranean Empires, Decision Games, Dawn of Battle, Worthington Publishing, Cradle of Civilization, Compass Games, and the winner was Rome Inc. from Against the Odds magazine. So I have not played Rome Inc., so I couldn't speak to whether it was good or not. But that was the winner. And to answer your question, if I remember correctly, the way it's always been, or the way it's been at least past few years, it's been popularity vote. It really has been just, okay, everybody votes, they nominate whatever, and then
you get to nominate. So there could have been 50 nominations for that category, and then there'd be an initial round of open voting, and then whatever the top 5 were, then they go in and then they're voted on again. Because is that how it works? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. First round is open to public nomination.
Right. Okay. So it's interesting that they were the top 5 because, it's a pretty broad set of titles there. Rome Inc. reminds me of the old Richard Berg. I think it was Richard Berg. Punic Wars from S&T magazine, which was kind of a hacked up, broken game that I think was one of his early efforts at trying to be the Ancient Warfare series or the Ancient Worlds series, which became Carthage and the Rise of the Roman Republic. It had a lot of those. It's an economic and military game, and it also has an effect of there's some leaders and senators you've got to nominate and stuff like that. And Rome Inc. reminds me a lot of that. I've read the rules, but I haven't played it, and that's the vibe I got from it. I thought the Compass Games, Cradle of Civilization, was an interesting game, but I hadn't had a chance to play it yet.
Yeah.
And I really don't know the other two. I thought the Grass Crown was a tactical game, but I could be wrong.
So the next one is Best Early Gunpowder War Game, 1453 to 1793. And it was Lepanto 1571, A Sea Turned Red by Blood. Granada, Last Stand of the Moors, Commands and Colors Samurai Battles. And then the winner was Bayonet and Tomahawks from GMT. And that one, I think I not played it. I kind of messed around with it for a very short period of time. It seemed kind of neat, but I wasn't sure of the 4 that are up there, which one would be the best. I mean, Command Colors is Command Colors.
Yeah.
There are some changes, obviously, with each one. They do make some slight changes, but that's its own thing. Granada was a different take on Sekigahara. Lepanto 1571, I'm not familiar with, so I couldn't speak to that. I'm not even sure what the game, anything about the game at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think I'll just jump in on this one too, but then unless Nate, you've got a comment, but the Bayonet and Tomahawks look like a decent sort of strategy level game. And the Command and Colors Samurai, I love the way they tweak that system. So I really thought that I was expecting that to be more successful. But then I think the sleeper was Granada because of the huge success of Sekigahara. I would have that would have being much more popular than perhaps any of these other ones, actually. So who knows?
Mm-hmm. So Bayonets and Tomahawks, that was the one that won. And then got a question here. Well, you guys can answer any particular reason that YouTube blew everybody off the ACDC.
What's he talking about?
The Armchair Dragoons digital convention this weekend.
That's this weekend?
The past weekend.
No.
Well, there's your answer.
Yeah. I wasn't in town, so I've never been to it. I've heard about it. So love to know more about what you do, Brant. But I only just know you, man. I wasn't in town. I was at a wedding and out of town and doing stuff.
So you were busy with your big Notorious KEV schedule.
Yeah, but I was busy doing family stuff. I haven't touched war games or played since January 1st.
Yeah,
but anyway, so we didn't blow you off, bro. It's all good. Right? Love you.
So next one is best late gun-pattern or pre-World War I board war game, excluding the American Civil War and Napoleonic topics. The first one is War of the Triple Alliance. Then it was Nachad and Skalitz, 1866. First split in the Crimea, Battle of the Alma, and Red Flag over Paris, which was the winner. And John is saying that Lepanto 1571 is a naval game between the Ottomans and Crusaders. Thank you for that. I'm completely unfamiliar with that game myself. So
didn't know it. Yeah.
So, and the winner was Red Flag over Paris versus the other three. Thoughts?
None.
It's
I don't know any of those.
Same trend. I don't play a lot of games in that era, so I can't comment specifically about the games, but I just seem to notice a trend in the more obscure categories, right? Stuff that's not like Civil War or World War II, that it's like people will vote just whatever a big name is. So like, okay, GMT's a big name, so we'll just vote for that one because it's probably good.
Yeah. Well, and also they've got at least 1,500 copies out there, right? So you're going to get some percentage of those as a vote. Whereas we know that probably Vivictus probably has 200 copies of that. Chard and Skalitz going out, and War of the Triple Alliance. And that NAC is a tiny publisher, from what I recall.
Yeah.
So Compass would have been the only one that would compete, and then you've got it's a Type Bomber design, so that's either a good thing or a bad thing depending on who you are.
Well, that's also a magazine game,
and it's a magazine game, so
that's even that narrows it down a little bit further.
Yeah, so it's kind of
the one thing the only problem I have with that being in there is that is a strategy game. That's like Fort Sumter. Red Flag over Paris. It's not a war game. So that one, I don't think it would fit in the war game set after 1793. I think that would be in the strategy game. It's a historical board game. But I think that's one of the problems is mixing it in with the hex and counter games is kind of, it just throws things off. But it goes to what you were saying, Nate, about everybody knows GMT. So GMT by default will get a vote based on popularity if they don't know the other games.
Right. So. And plus there's also a movement within the Charlie's group of gentlemen that are involved in the whole ethos of it and the culture of the award for it to be more open to strategy games, but then B, definitely historical games that may not even be a war game per se. So I think that's sort of evident by the folks that are involved, generally speaking.
I just I had to post this up here. I think Angus Young's guitar solos are my favorite part of the ACDC.
Yeah,
that was great. And I cannot argue with that. You were going to say something, Nate?
Yeah, the definition of what exactly is a war game is going to vary between person to person, right? It doesn't exactly have to be hex and counter, right, to be considered a war game. I don't know. I guess I have to debate on it personally, or at least know a little more about the game.
So are we turning the show into what is a war game?
No. I mean, I want to stick with the Roberts, but I don't want to like throw out a game isn't a war game. It can be war themed, but not operates, specifically off of hex and counters. It can be area based, point to point, stuff like that. Still be a war game.
Is Fort Sumter a war game? I mean, it's
No.
look, you look at Fort Sumter, you look at Red Flags Over Paris. It's got I don't know, a dozen cubes and 12 boxes, and you put a cube, take a cube. Okay.
In a way, that's almost like a puzzle game, right? You're trying
Yeah.
to finagle it to find the right path to victory.
Yeah.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. So next one is best Napoleonic war game. And that is okay. Trois jours de gloire. Okay. I'm sorry I don't speak French very well. La Bataille d'Hanau, La Bataille de Berlin, Coalition Napoleonic Wars, and then the winner is Napoleon Invades Spain, Operational Studies Group. I know nothing about Napoleonics. I am the first to admit it. I have zero interest in Napoleonics. I love Napoleonic stories and movies, just not into the war games, which is kind of funny, but it is what it is. So I know you're more versed in Napoleonics than I am, Kev. You have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, Kevin Zucker does amazing stuff, great maps, and his rule books have improved a lot. And I'm just looking up this particular one to see, because I think I'm just double checking to see if it's not a reprint. Maybe it's the first time he's touched the Peninsula War, but it's 4 battles. So I'm sure it's awesome, but really, this is probably, I thought, one of the highly competitive areas, because you've got the Compass Games, Javier Garcia, Gaviola, that coalition game was pretty popular. Obviously, Marshall Enterprises with the Berlin title, but you're only getting 400 copies printed there.
Yeah.
The same with the Didier Roux. That is its own tactical system as well for Hanau. And quite honestly, I probably wouldn't have even nominated it there, because I think it had a few challenges and issues with the setup instructions and bits and pieces like that. So I don't think it was really probably notable, other than it's a very attractive game. And then Jours de Glory they've been around forever, but once again, it's basically a magazine game, and a huge series that Frederick Bay's been making those titles. There's probably 40 of them now.
Wow.
He deserved. I tell you, there's so many battles that guy has done with that system. It's the old Richard Berg system that he took and tweaked up, that GMT had for quite a while. They had the 3 or 4 battles with Waterloo and Austerlitz and Borodino, and forget what the name of that system was, but he took that and tuned it up and made it playable and workable, and fixed it basically. And I think that's where Jours de Glory came from, and he deserves a freaking medal just for doing that, because it's a pretty cool system for a magazine game out of France, right?
Yeah. No, that's huge. If he's done that many, it's like, wow.
Yeah. If it's not 40, it's 30, right? I mean, it's a lot.
No, it's a crap ton. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the best American Civil War board game, Thunder at Dawn, Our God Was My Shield, The Day Was Ours, Atlanta Campaign, The Death of Dixie, and the winner was Hood Strikes North from MMP. That was designed by Joe Balkowski at Beach and Chris Withers. That was the winner for that. So has anybody in the audience, you guys chime in if you have any comments about the Napoleonics or the ACW games here? And
actually, I played the Atlanta Campaign by Lock and Load, and I actually really liked that one. I did a video on it, and I can't remember the specifics, but there was something to do with the way the combat system was played out, and something about the zone of control that I really liked. But the map was a good size for it being a rather smaller folio style game. Like, it wasn't a big box game. It was, a plastic bag for it, but it had a decent amount of gameplay in it for the size that it was. And I remember I liked the combat tactics. I haven't played the others, so I couldn't comment on those. And if it was the next year, it would definitely be a Most Fearful Sacrifice. So it wouldn't even be a question.
Yeah, and that'll be hopefully next year. I think that will probably win hands down. But John was asking, has anyone played Coalition? He sees no love for it at all. And that's true. I have not seen a lot of people talking about Coalition.
I need to check that if it's still on sale for Compass and see if I can snag a copy at a discount, because I'm interested in it, but I haven't had a chance to play.
I mean,
these are
come
all
on,
good
though.
games.
Think about it. When it comes to like a Compass game, are you going to get like Napoleonic, or are you going to get American Tank Case or Chanel boats? Or
I'm gonna get a Napoleonic game. I mean, I'm not a big solitaire game guy, so. But anyway, thanks for asking.
yeah,
So
I'm not interested in
and
Napoleonic.
then John says games like Fort Sumter, Flashpoint, South China Sea, Red Flag over Paris, and This Guilty Land are political conflict games. Correct. They're historical board games.
Yep.
They're not war games. And there is a distinction there. That is not a knock on those games. That is just putting them in their correct genre. So that way there's not the bickering over what belongs in what game. It's just like saying NATO should not be going up against Red Flag over Paris or South China Sea or whatever in the historical board game category.
Right.
It's not. It's a war game. So that's why you have a breakdown of categories.
So why not have some more categories, right? I mean, I think
exactly.
I think all these titles, and here you've got Revolution Games have 2 titles, and I think they're both Herman Luttman's system, right? So you've got two titles from the same, base designer, system designer, competing against each other, which is also kind of interesting.
Well, they were different designers, Matt Ward and then Claude Whalen.
Core system, though, right?
The core system, yeah, correct.
And Hood deserves to win, no doubt, because it's a great introductory topic for that particular system, the GCACW system. It's a great one mapper and a perfect if someone wants to get into American Civil War at that sort of operational scale. It's awesome. So hats off to them for winning that one. Tough category.
True. So the next one is the best World War I era board war game. And that one, we had Trench Club, Empire at Sunrise, McGowan and Lombardi's The Great War, 1914 Fur alle Victus. Sorry, I'm not good at pronunciation with French words. And then winner was Decisive Victory, 1918 Soissons Legion War Games designer Serge Betancourt and Tim Gale. So they are the ones who won that one. Decisive Victory in 1918. Any comments from the peanut gallery out there?
Well, Stuka actually mentioned in the previous one that he gave away, what was it, Our God? Yeah, Our God was my shield. And I'm wondering, did you give it away because it was worth giving it away, or did you give it away because you wanted to give it away? There's a distinction there.
Yeah, that's true. So Stuka Joe saying the correct category would be best non-war game. War game. Let's confuse it a little bit more.
Yeah, that's fine.
So no comments here for World War I game.
It doesn't really pick up until you hit World War II and then World War III.
So
that's
World
when
War
it comes
II,
real big.
There you go. Best World War II era. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there, but I was just looking. Trench Club is defined as a strategy game.
Is it really?
Yeah, it calls itself a strategy game, a complex strategy game.
So is it hex and counter or cubes and areas, or
it's little plastic dudes? It does have hexes.
So it's kind of like Axis and Allies, kind of.
Yes, yeah, I don't know. It looks like a war game to me, but yeah, the dude's calling it a strategy game. In the
okay.
Anyway, assuming I'm looking at the right Trench Club, but that's all. Anyway,
are you looking at Trench Club or Trench Coat? So best World War II era board war game: Zero Leader from DVG, Third Winter MMP, Panzer's Last Stand MMP, Conquest and Consequence GMT games, Absolute War GMT games, and the winner was Atlantic Chase from GMT. So Stuka says arguing in the trenches. So that was the winner, Atlantic Chase. I know that has been very popular with a lot of people. It's both 2-player and solitaire, and so that has made it very, very popular this past year. And did you said like you have experience with it? Nate?
Yeah, I played Atlantic Chase. I haven't got a chance to film it, and it's been a little while since I played it, but I enjoyed it when I played it. So I wouldn't knock it for winning. I was just sitting there thinking about Assault Red Horizon, but I think that released later. Like it wouldn't be in this year. It'd be not the year we're reviewing it, being the following year. There's so many good games that I think could fit in here, and it just seems like they should have one entry per publisher. Maybe if it's a highly competitive category like World War II or Third World War, like okay, this publisher gets one game. Which one of their games can go to it? That way, some of the smaller publishers could have some games in there. You know?
Well, I mean, the thing is if a publisher, you have to be fair. If a publisher has, I don't know, half a dozen games, we'll just throw out half a dozen games on one era. It doesn't matter what. I mean, we're on World War II. Say they get 6 World War II games. Well, pretty much everybody's going to have World War II games coming out every year because that's the most popular topic, probably by a large amount, aside from Napoleonics, the companies that really specialize in that. But World War II is kind of the go-to. So I would expect there to be a bunch of World War II games, and that would be that's where it does get a little difficult from a nomination process. Is okay, does one company that has 6 games, do all 6 games deserve to be in there, or do you want to limit it to only 3 so that way you can spread it around, or do you want to expand the number of nominations in total to, because World War II is a popular era, maybe for World War I you have 5 or 6 or 4 because there wasn't a lot out that year. But on World War II, maybe you've got 10 or a dozen, which can be kind of problematic in its own way. But
you could break this down into Eastern Front category and Western Front category or Pacific. I mean, there's so many ways that the World War II could be broken down, and there's so many games for it. I would like to see at least that category alone expanded in a way to kind of open it up a little bit.
Yeah, but there's not going to be that many Pacific games, so you don't have to worry about that.
Well, you get what I'm saying. There's plenty of games to fill this.
But this game to me, it looks, from what I've read about it, and I've spoken to guys who've played, certainly zero interest from me, but it feels like a battleships for Grognards is what it feels like. Battleship game, E6, nope. E7, nope. Because you've got and it's all, blocks and cubes, and like as we get further down the list, we'll see that it won best components. Okay, that's nice cubes, awesome. That's offensive to me. But as best game relative, saying it's the best war game compared to Panzer's Last Stand or The Third Winter or Zero, give me a freaking break.
Well, it's popularity too. And that's one of the things when it comes to war games. The hardest part about, let me just put us back up on the screen for a sec while we're talking about this. The thing, you can stop laying back and picking your nose.
I was leaning back. Lucky I didn't have my finger on my nose again.
But I think one of the biggest things is when it comes to war games and the historical board games, because like I said, there is definitely a distinction between the two. And that is not a knock on either. It's just that there is a distinction. I think one of the things, because I've seen people complaining about it online and they're saying, oh, there's really no reason for a war game to have more than 4 or 5 or 6 pages of rules. Yeah, there is.
Bullshit.
Yeah, there is. And I think the part of the reason and why there's some, kind of, there's like a pushback, or not pushback, it's just more like there's confusion in some regards, is people are like, well, this game's got 40 pages of rules. I'm not going to do that. Well, there is a heavy lift involved. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But don't try to say that it's not a war game or it's too much or war games aren't supposed to be that way, because that's the way war games are. Some are 5, 6, 8 pages, shorter rule games, shorter rule books for some war games. Others are 10, 20, 50, 100 or more. And it's what you want to do, whether you like it or not. So I don't think that it's really smart to get into a page count on a argument over.
Yeah, or trying to dumb down the hobby, right? If dumbing down the hobby is the requirement for us to have a hobby, I'd rather just the hobby be smaller, and if that means there are less publishers, I'm okay with that. But I'm not going to be excited or endorse or cover or play games that are 4 pages of rules and highly abstract and are actually a historical game versus a war game. So
Yeah.
I'm into military history. I'm into learning all about that and understanding more about it and broadening my horizons from that perspective. I'm interested in general history if it's a topic that grabs me. I see a kid.
She's coming to give me a kiss goodnight.
Nice.
You want to tell everybody goodnight? All right, say goodnight. They'll hear you. Are you going to wave?
Night.
You going to be shy? All right. The ugly one is Mo, and the really ugly one is Kevin. All right. Say goodnight. All right. Love you, baby. Go to bed.
At least we had. Oh, there you go. So now going back to what we were saying about the nominations or adding not nominations, but the number of games that are nominated. I don't think there needs to be like limiting any publisher from having 4 or 5 or 6 titles or whatever. Just expand the selection. So
deep in the categories or whatever.
Yeah, or yeah, exactly. So I mean, I am all for having all work, getting the chance to be recognized is what I was getting at. So, all right, so I'm going to go back to this, and we're now down to best modern era board war game. Indian Ocean region, The Dogs of War, 1985 Sacred Oil, and NATO, The Cold War Goes Hot, which was the winner. I don't know if you guys have ever played it. I've heard of it.
Might have heard about that one around the campfire.
Exactly. So no, I think that one right there was very tough because all 3 of these games right here deserve to win, in my opinion, and they're also different games, similar yet different. They're similar, obviously, in topic, but even these 2 are completely different from each other. 1985 and Dogs of War. So, you know, in this instance, you have 3 very different types of games, and that's where kind of what we were talking about before about separating out historical board games from war games. Well, these could also be broken down a little further if you wanted to. It's like, okay, how deep do we want to break this down? How granular do we want to get? So, but that one was a very tough category because there were 3 games right then and there that I definitely wanted to see win. I was happy with NATO, obviously, but I was also like, man, I'm split. I want NATO, but I also want 1985. I also want to see Dogs of War win. It's like, because Thin Red Line puts out fantastic games. So
yeah, but Thin Red Line,
yeah,
they're luxury, right?
Yeah,
they have a smaller print run, and Compass had more copies of NATO out. I think they won on volume, not necessarily quality. Not that NATO's bad; it's obviously good, but 1985 just isn't in as many hands, so less people are going to see it.
True. Yeah, that is a good point too.
Yep, and if there's 750 or 1,000 copies, and you probably guess that if 10% of the people have cracked the shrink, right?
True. Yeah.
So you're voting because your heart's in it, not because you've played it and know that it's better than NATO or Dogs of War, et cetera, et cetera. I've played Sacred Oil. I know from my value for money and the way the types of games I like to play, I believe Sacred Oil is better than A War Goes Hot. But I think they're both good games. And the Dogs of War, for me, is a simulation style game. Yeah. Very complex and detailed. Well, not complex, but detailed, I guess.
No, it's complex because the complexity comes in the planning and executing on time. So that's where that is definitely separate from 1985 and NATO, because it's its own thing. It is very much simulation more so than even war game. It's even more than war game, because it's a war game, but it's something that you could literally sit down and draw like battle plans and orders for yourself to try to work out in this game. You probably need to just to keep things in order in your head, because otherwise you're going to kind of jack yourself up. Even though you have counters that are doing that for you, I think it's easier to write it down and then carry it out.
Yeah.
So
can you zoom in a little more on your
Yeah, there you go.
Hard time reading.
Is your roll?
I mean, this was a category you could realistically close your eyes and just put your finger down, and you're gonna land on a winner. I mean, there's really no wrong choice there.
Yeah, I don't know any of them, so
me neither. So, Oath, Chronicles of Empire and Exile. No interest in any of those games, to be honest with you. Well, 5 Parsecs from Home.
Yeah, 5 Parsecs.
That one in Billion Suns actually looked kind of interesting, but it's not like I'm going to run out and go get them tomorrow.
I've played
World of Warcraft. I have zero interest. And Oath, I have zero interest in.
World of Warcraft. What the hell is that doing on the Charles S. Robert?
World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King.
That is. I'm trying to remember which one, because there's 2 World of Warcraft board games. If it's the one I'm thinking, it's like a card game. It doesn't even belong anywhere near this. Like, no, just go away. It shouldn't even be there. 5 Parsecs, though, is really good, but it's an RPG. It's not a war game. It's a tabletop role-playing game.
Really?
Okay.
Like, flat out. How
is that even in the list?
I don't get me wrong. I like it. It's a good game. As is A Billion Suns, but A Billion Suns is a miniatures game.
What's the category here? Best science fiction
or fantasy
board war game.
Yeah, 5 Parsecs doesn't belong there. World of Warcraft doesn't belong there. A Billion Suns could be applicable, and I don't know Oath, so I couldn't say on that one. But
this is where there needs to be some, like, anyone can nominate, community nominations. That's fantastic, but then the board or whoever's going to do this needs to be, sensible about it and take the time to have a look at each game and go, you know what, 5 Parsecs doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
It's not saying it's bad. It's good. I've enjoyed it.
I'm not saying it's bad either. I'm just saying what you're saying, what you're telling us is that neither of that potentially 2 out of the 4 are what they're supposed to be, and they don't belong.
And Fango's saying that Oath doesn't belong either, which means Billion would be the only one that could even be applicable.
Right.
And that's just, it's an actual tabletop war game, spaceships shooting each other and shit.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So then we have Best Solitaire or Cooperative Board War Game. And there we have Zero Leader from DVG, Taro 1943, Worthington, Soldiers in Postmen's Uniforms, also from DVG, Rome Inc. Against the Odds. And the winner was Atlantic Chase from GMT. And this is for Solitaire Cooperative. And that's because Atlantic Chase is both Solitaire and 2-player. It has Solitaire engine to it, and then it also has the 2-player game.
You've only got 3 war games there anyway. Why? I'm surprised Zero Leader didn't win that,
Yeah, Billion Suns is miniatures, but you have to provide your own miniatures or get some expensive ones for it. They do have some you can get that are technically official.
Yeah. But so Mike's saying next year there should be a much more robust vetting process for all the categories. Agreed.
Yeah, I think there will be. Like they've reached out to a lot of different people. Obviously not me, but they've reached out to a lot of people who know more about wargaming than I do, and I'm sure they'll come up with some better structure. I'm not saying that the Charlies are stupid. I'm just saying that there's been a number of issues since they've restarted this. Probably were issues before my time anyway, when it was all, a big political faction thing going on back in the day, right? Who knows?
So John is saying that next year he thinks Enemy Action Kharkov will win if Gimpy has anything to say about it.
It's on the table right now. I finally got it there. It's taken me too damn long to do it. I kept thinking, okay, I'll get this one thing done because I want to have Kharkov on there for a little while. So let me get this one done. And then something else would come up, and I kept pushing it back. But I was like, no more. Everyone else can wait. Mm-hmm. So it's there.
So
but as far as the Solitaire goes, though, they shouldn't have gone to Lang Chase. The Lang Chase already won something. They should have gone something else.
Well, no, I don't think I disagree with the attitude of that a game shouldn't win more than one category. If it fits in it and it truly is deserving, then it should.
Yeah, it's like the Academy Awards, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can win best cinematography, best picture, best director, blah blah blah.
Okay, that's fine, but there are better solitaire games on the list besides even Atlantic Chase when we're talking
Sure.
about purely solo games. And from just looking at it, that's like, where the hell are some of the other games? It's like,
yeah, they weren't in there, is what you're
there are a
saying.
lot that should be on that list that just aren't.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure. Well,
yeah.
look at all of Gregory Smith's games. I don't know what came
Yeah.
out in 21, but come on. The fact that he's not on that list, even nominated, is just rude.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Then we have Best Magazine Board War Game: World War Africa, Rome Inc.,
Yep.
Monty's D-Day, Mediterranean Empires, and the winner was Hanuut, France, 1940, which I know was very popular. I know you liked it quite a bit, Kev, when you were playing.
Yeah, really good game. I don't know the other games, so I couldn't really say, but yeah, it's a great game.
So that one is another one that's deserving of winning quite a bit. So best expansion or supplement for an existing board war game.
Hold on, Brant's got a good point though, as far as Atlantic Chase is concerned. That that's the solo co-op category, but it was designed as a 2-player game, and it's just got a solo mode tacked onto it.
Yeah, well, this is kind of the problem that happened last time with what was that U-boat thing, right? Where it just won all the categories because it had 10,000
people voted for it.
So they all just said, yeah, I voted for Atlantic Chase, but fine, I'll just vote here as well. Yeah. Click. Yeah.
Well, there's always going to be that. There's always going to be popularity contest, and that's what these things are. Yeah. And so I don't know. I honestly can't say if it was designed only as a 2-player game with a solo mode grafted on, or was it designed as a 2-player game with a solo mode as part of it. Like it was literally intentionally designed for solitaire as well as 2-player. So I don't know if it was grafted on or what.
Well, let me ask you this then, that he brings up that point. Should the solo category only allow games that are either solitaire or cooperative, like no competitive nature to it?
Well, I was going to say, if you want to do it that way, then every war game is eligible for solitaire because the majority of us play our war games solitaire. So
no. Like they're designed to be.
It's got to be a solitaire.
It has to be designed. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not just that it's got a deck of cards you can use to play it solitaire or something like that. That it's actually a solo game.
Brant makes a good point, right? It's like saying that all the coin games should be voted for or nominated in the solitaire category because it has bots. Well, no, he's exactly right there. Where designed specifically for solitaire,
4-player
should be the category, and Atlantic Chase doesn't fit in that, and nor do some of these other games. Anyway,
no,
I don't even think his coin is anything but solitaire. In my mind, it is a solo game. I've played it so much that way. Playing it competitively doesn't even compute in my mind.
Well, it's a 4-player game, dude. I mean,
I get it, but when you play it so much solitaire, you don't even think the fact that it's technically supposed to be against someone else.
I find that a lot of the coin games are actually better as 2-player games because you technically have two sides that are kind of working in competition. So, and then John says, or is it a solo game with 2-player mode grafted on?
It's one smack, John.
Would it be better if the categories would be based on the game's core mechanics, second counter, tactical, operational, strategic, card-driven, solo exclusive?
Monster game.
That would be, that would break it down considerably more.
And then that would get some of this trash out of here. Well, did I say trash? Oh, I meant stuff that doesn't belong. That are great games, but don't belong.
I'm sorry, World of Warcraft shouldn't have ever graced this list. Ever.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah. So, he's Brent's pointing out that Gary repeatedly noted there were a variety of issues, categories, and awards, but voting was already underway when he got handed the project, which is true. I mean, if you come into it midway, you can't change things midstream. So all you can do is change things going forward.
Yeah, we're not saying that.
Oh no, yeah.
It's his fault. He inherited a mess.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's not. It's not even. I don't think it's even the fault of the prior group, but I just think it's they've got to work out how to manage the voting, because the old CSRs back in the day were, mail your ballot in, right? It was
Yeah.
that type of thing. It wasn't internet based, so it's a different model, a different system, and they've got to work out a way that makes spamming not viable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to
Anyway.
see like shuffleboard on there next year.
Yeah.
How about combat shuffleboard?
Yeah, I'd go for that. Hit him with a stick.
Exactly. All right. So the next one is best expansion or supplement for an existing board war game. Wing Leader Legends 1937 and 1945, Tank Duel Expansion number 1, Space Corps Ventures, Panzer Grenadier Black Panthers, and the winner was Undaunted Reinforcements.
Yeah.
I don't know why Space Corp was even in there.
Because it's by GMT.
No, it's a Euro. It's not a war game.
Yeah.
But it's by
Yeah.
GMT.
It's a strategy
That's why
game.
it's there.
So, well, yeah. I mean, people they go by popular names and popular things, but I don't think that it really fit in there personally. That's just my opinion, because I don't see that as. I mean, if you want to, I guess in a way you could almost say historical board game, but then it would have to actually go up above in the sci-fi area more than anything else, because it's not modeling current space or anything. It's space in the future. So.
Well, that one, as far as Undaunted winning, that's an absolute golden. I'm brain farting. Bear with me. That's a good choice, because he is really like kicked ass with the Undaunted series. Like, he's really taken it to the next level. Some big names have been covering it, especially the latest Stalingrad release. So seeing that win, I've got no problem with that one.
Okay. So the next one is the best board war game playing components. We have Panzer's Last Stand, NATO The Cold War Goes Hot, Commands and Colors Samurai Battles, Bayonets and Tomahawks, and the winner was Atlantic Chase. Or U-boat. I mean, Atlantic Chase.
It's got cubes, dude. How can this? What? I
It's
don't
got
understand
sticks
this.
and cubes.
Sticks and cubes. There's nothing else to it. It says accepting. I think they mean excluding the map or playing surface. Please.
It's got stickers though, right? Because I hate stickers.
Who cares? Oh, it's stupid. Next.
I friggin' hate stickers.
What was this? Hold on. Are you trying to create a war game definition to exclude Space Corp? No, it's not a war game. So I'm not creating a definition. It's a Euro. And that's nothing against the game. It's just that's not where it doesn't fit in the war game category. Best board war game map graphics. Panzer's Last Stand, NATO The Cold War Goes Hot, Hood Strikes North, Deadly Woods, and the winner was Bayonets and Tomahawks. Thoughts? After you answer your phone?
It is a nice map, and but you've got some other. I mean, there's some other great maps there too, and I think there were also. I could look at the Thin Red Line maps; they're fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Well, I have to say, I've got one beef with the Thin Red Line games ones. We've talked about this before. They are beautiful maps, but man, they need to use white text rather than the black text for locations, because it just gets swallowed up.
In certain parts.
If they did that, those maps would just pop so much better. Because they are gorgeous.
It's a rich palette, isn't it?
Yes. Very
rich.
rich.
Is the only word I can think of.
Yeah.
What about games like that though? The ones that you've got multiple maps and you've got to overlay the maps to get the full thing laid out. Do you guys like it when they have like that extra inch to lay them out, or would you prefer it to be flush? So when you just put the paper against each other, it lines up the way it's supposed to.
Overlay.
You like it overlay?
Yeah, because with the overlay, if you got to get them flush, have you ever played a map that you have flush and put plexi on top of it, and the maps separate just an eighth of an inch, and you're sitting there going, "Son of a bitch! Now I got to go in there and I got to move them together." If you have them just one on top of the other, you can layer plexi down from top to bottom. You can put it up, down at top, and then just lay down and make sure that it stays flush. It's a lot easier. Plus, it looks nicer. I think it just makes the maps better.
I don't know. For me, that just drives me nuts, like the overlay, because I can never get it just perfectly right, and it drives me insane.
IKEA has announced a new war game division.
Yeah.
Longshore with the comments from the peanut gallery. I love it. Best component should be a game where the components are better than the game itself.
Ooh, Stuka Joe with the win. Definition
Well,
champion.
Nice.
We
Yeah,
know what
this
that's going to be
one's
next year, though.
gorgeous.
That's going to be a most fearful sacrifice for its map, man. Because
No, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
John's got a point. The HSN is a fantastic map.
Yeah. So we got Bayonet Stomachs. That's the one who won that. And then we have best board war game rules. Third Winter, MMP, Panzer's Last Stand, MMP, NATO Cold War Goes Hot, Decisive Victory 1918. And then the winner is Atlantic Chase. And
do we sense a theme here?
Yeah.
2 years in a row, yeah.
And I don't know what the rule books are for Panzer's Last Stand and Third Winter as far as quality goes. So I can't speak to that. NATO, the Cold War Goes Hot, 87-page rule book that I have to say, yeah, okay, it's 87 pages. A lot of people say, oh my God, it's 87 pages. Well, there's a little bit of lift involved, but I challenge you for that rule book, 87 pages, to find any ambiguity because of the way it's written. That's why it's 87 pages. It's very verbose. So there's no questions.
But wasn't there some errata, though?
Oh, yeah, there's errata in pretty much every rule book. There's always errata. So,
but like a fair amount of errata.
No, not really. Not really that much. For 87 pages, I think there was maybe a page and a half.
I'll challenge. I'll put any OCS, i.e. the Third Winter. I'll put that rule book and even the BCS system, despite some of the things that changed in BCS, Panzer's Last Stand, and made it a little more complicated. I'll challenge anybody to find a more succinct, crisp, clear, unambiguous rule book than Dean Essig's OCS system.
Oh yeah, no.
It's the litmus test for excellent rule writing. And
the other thing too, and it's in fairness, how many games are in those series? So by now, it definitely is going to be shaped and molded to a very concise rule book, which is what you want and what you expect, and that's and that's a testament to great rule writing for those.
Yep.
So so Atlantic Chase wins that one. Best cover art is the next one, and that is Third Winter, Panzer's Last Stand, 303 Squadron, and then winner is Storm Above the Reich. I'm trying to remember Panzer's Last Stand.
I would go 303. I like that one better.
A lot of people did like 303 Squadron. Yeah. But I heard the game leaves a lot to be desired.
Oh, well, this isn't about the game though. This is just
I know. Which is the thing. It's like you look at the box cover and you go, wow, this is great. And then you get the game and you're like, man, I don't think this is that great.
Yeah.
Well,
the artwork is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad, but I think 303 beat it. It caught my attention. Like I was interested in the game, but I ended up not getting it, which evidently from the way Mo's talking, that's a good thing.
Go have a look at Third Winter's box. It's freaking awesome. So is Panzer's Last Stand.
It is. Yeah.
They're all beautiful. I think the quality of cover art has increased significantly. I don't know if anybody's noticed how a lot of companies are now using artist-rendered artwork versus clip art, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got Panzer's Last Stand
for a long time.
Yeah,
I like Panzer's Last Stand, have you? Cool.
Yeah. Good. I like that one.
Just going through the comments here. Catching up on all the comments from the chat. U-boat was pretty clear ballot stuffing, wasn't it? Well, I mean, it comes down to just popularity, and you're going to have popular publishers, popular games, and that's going to happen. NATO was innovative, skipping sections you already knew. Well, that's true. Yeah, the veteran summary was very helpful. I thought that was great, and or at least errata by percentage.
Yeah, that would be Academy Games.
So
all they need to do is publish a game, though.
Yeah,
shots fired.
I've heard they've got another one coming up in the next 25 years.
Oh, that's good.
There you go. So your kid will be able to do it on his channel.
No, they actually do have some cool stuff coming up. I'll tell you guys what they're working on after we get off stream.
Yeah. So best computer war game, Ultimate Admiral, Dreadnoughts, Combat Mission, Cold War, and winner was War in the East 2 from Slytherin.
Yeah, don't know anyone.
Best war game magazine. This thing, I hate when it does that. Highlights all of them. Strategy and Tactics, Decision Games, Paper Wars from Compass.
Hold on, before you move on though, War in the East 2 from Slytherin, that's a beast. I actually started a small series where I was playing that, and that thing is just ungodly massive. It is one of the biggest games I've ever tried to play, but it's freaking awesome. It's deep though. You're not going to just sit down and play it. You have to really want to learn that game.
Yeah. I don't want to do that with a PC game. I'll do it for a war game, not for a PC game.
So Strategy and Tactics, Paper Wars, Against the Odds, and the winner was C3I.
Go figure.
Yeah. So best individual historical scenario analysis or book. Robert Carroll, Kilroy's Deep Dive, War Game Scale, Mike Benningoff, Race in America, parts 1 through 9. And the winner was Wayne Henson for Let's Play Devil Boats, PT Boats in the Solomons, Overview and Review.
Are you shitting me?
Not any of these people.
Oh, you know Kilroy. Kilroy was here. You know him.
I do? Okay.
Yeah, that's Robert Carroll.
Yeah, I know Robert. I know Mike. I've talked to Wayne. He's a nice guy, but I'm just like, that should not be that video. That video is only there because it was controversial and it got a lot of attention.
Yeah, no, it was. And this is a good question. Going back to the other one for a second. Ed was asking, was an issue of C3I released in 2021? I honestly don't recall. If there was, it was at the... No, there was. Wasn't there earlier in the year?
It'd have to be issue 34 or 35. I'd have to check, and I don't have access to any of my magazines at the place I'm living. Of course I know Kilroy. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I don't think about
That's why I was like, you guys are having a brain fart here.
Look, Tim Zales is right, though. I mean, we got the legend in here. Stuka puts so much work into every video that he puts out. I mean, the production quality is just freaking outstanding. And any one of his videos could have been there, right? There's so many other videos. The only reason he won on that video is, okay, I'm just going to go grab a game from my collection and just throw it in a trash can. Be like, okay, I win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, the whole thing with that is with that review is, and I know that one of the sticky points with it, aside from tossing the game in the trash can, was the whole misrepresenting the fact that there were, I think, optional or house rules or something posted by Joe, the designer, on BGG. And Wayne had said that there was like 50 pages of errata or something, and it was not errata, it was house rules. So, I mean, there was errata that came after the fact, but that was not errata, that was house rules. And he was saying, he said something about, if I remember correctly, I saw the review when it first came out, and then that was it. Something about he put out a separate rule book or something because the rule book was a mess. And that was the thing right there. It's like, no, that actually is incorrect. So if you're going to review something, you really do need to either make sure that you get it correctly the first time, especially if you're going to do something like tossing a game in the trash can, because that's going to definitely be controversial. Or you're going to set a game on fire, stuff like that. It's going to get...
That was an artistic expression, my friend. That's a little different. All right. That's a little different. A little different. I didn't say anything about the game. Didn't make any judgments about the game. I just said, let's get it kind of a little hotter.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is when you do something like that, it wasn't necessarily, you knew what you were doing it for. You're doing it for hits. You're doing it for attention. That's fine. That's fine if that's what you want to do. But then make sure the rest of your review is correct. And if it's not, then, post a comment or an addendum video saying, I was incorrect. I misrepresented this, just to be, to clear the air. This was my interpretation and I was wrong. of this house rule thing. So, but I stand by the rest of the review. There
And
you go.
just given that all the crew that are on the panels and all the rest of it are all anti-controversy, I'm surprised that this even made it onto the nomination list, right?
Yeah.
Because they're always looking for that happy clappy big tent, everyone give everyone a hug nonsense, right? As opposed to just letting people be people. And then we get the dump the game in the trash can guy. So
No,
Yeah.
like
that's all.
Stuka makes the comment that it won because he was candid, and he said the truth, that he gave a negative review. That's fine. You can give a negative review. I remember Vietnam by Compass Games. I gave a negative review to their Solitaire section because it was badly done and had a lot of errata to it. They
Yep.
missed a lot of points.
Whoa. Which one?
The
Vietnam.
Vietnam 1965 to whatever.
You're talking about the
Stop
solid?
with it.
Okay.
Stop with this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
I thought you were talking about the GMT one.
Yeah, but I was respectful. I pointed out what was good about the game, what was bad about the game, stuff like. You can be respectful when you say something negative about the game. You don't have to. There's garbage. I mean, that's fine if he wants to do it. I'm not saying Wayne's a bad guy either. Like I said, I've talked to him. He seems like a nice guy, but I don't think that should be winning. There's just so much better stuff. Like, you should be looking at production quality, sound quality, how much video editing you've got done in. Is there video overlays? Are there graphic overlays? Like, what type of production value are you bringing versus what type of drama?
I don't know about that. It's a quality of the content that matters.
It's the content,
You look at Stuka's content, and Stuka has amazing content, and it also happens to have amazing production values as well, which to me, I see that as a bonus, not the draw card. But I know you like all that stuff, and so I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that to me, it's the quality of the content. Now, as Stuka said, there's a lot of people who don't have one negative thing or critical thing or frank thing to say about any of the games. All they have is happy clappy. And I think from what I see in the marketplace, a lot of people get tired of that because everything's fantastic. And that's just not the case. It's always one individual's opinion, and that's fine. You take everything with a grain of salt, right? Anything I have to say or Mo has to say or Nate has to say, you take all that with a grain of salt, and you know that's their view. And once you get to know that YouTuber, you can go, okay, well, Kevin hates that game. I'm going to go buy it. Right? That's
exactly
right. Because it'll be awesome.
Over time, though, you get to where you kind of know what you're going to like anyway. So you tend to gravitate towards the games that you're going to like. So you're less likely to have a negative review unless you get a surprise piece of crap that just isn't what you thought it was going to be. You know what I'm saying?
All games are great. Who are you, Dean? Are you being rough tonight there, Tony? But this is true. What Kev is saying, that the production values are plus, it really comes down to content, because you can have somebody who's got, I don't know, we'll just say they're using their cell phone camera and they got a crappy little tripod and they're sitting down, they're talking, but they're giving great information on a certain battle or something because they've done a lot of reading on it. They know it really well and they want to share that with everybody. And maybe they're even drawing it out on a piece of paper. Okay, production value, 1, but it's the quality of the content. It's wow, I came away from there understanding a lot more than I did from some flashy video, because with a flashy video you can also hide, you can gloss over, make it look all shiny and glossy and really give no substance. So that's something else right there. But I think pretty much everyone kind of seems to share the same opinion that, like Brant was saying here, my problem with Wayne winning is that it wasn't even his best video, just one that got everyone's hackles up. And it being in there was, I thought it was not a good look for the Charlies, and
Right.
and it winning was just even worse luck in my opinion. Yeah. So then we have best game review or analysis website, webcast, or podcast. Mo's Game Table. Never heard of that jackass.
Yeah, let's just skip this topic.
Kilroy was here. Big Board Gaming, and the winner was the Player's Aid. So Player's Aid.
There, right?
Yeah. So we have War Game of the Year, The Third Winter, Panzer's Last Stand, NATO the Cold War Goes Hot, Bayonets and Tomahawks, and the winner was Atlantic Chase. Sorry, I'm gonna keep bringing beating that dead horse. But
NATO should have won that one. NATO should have got it.
There's an argument for the 4 games in there outside of Atlantic Chase.
Yeah.
I think all of them have really solid arguments. But again, popularity and ease of play and stuff. People are going to jump into something like that. So
I just think it's to me, it's a slap in the face to what I'll call more robust or more serious war games. To have something like Atlantic Chase win War Game of the Year, it is literally equivalent to that worthless U-boot winning, right? So that's my opinion. I haven't played all of the games on that list, but I've played some of them, and I would definitely say that Atlantic Chase is anywhere near as good as any of those other games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not saying that Atlantic Chase is a bad game. I played it. I enjoyed it. It's not bad, but it's not NATO.
Relative to what's on the list, it's not the best war game. If that's what you have to choose from, it is absolutely, for my money, not the best war game.
Yeah. No, I would say the same. And that's why I said that the bottom 4, all 4 of these right here have, you can make strong arguments for all 4 of those.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's up to I'm going to vote NATO. Yeah, I'm just me. But then someone else can come across, say, Panzer's Last Stand. Someone else could say Third Winter. Another person could say Bayonets and Tomahawks. And it's all valid arguments from people because those are 4 solid games. Atlantic Chase is just a very popular game.
Yeah. It's also tough for 2 systems that I for instance, nearly every person that plays OCS plays BCS. And so that you get a split vote there, right?
Yeah.
So it diminishes the ability of that company and those designers to win if they're basically fighting each other, right?
It's the third party.
Yeah, because it's just down to what system they like better between the 2.
Yeah.
So what, Alistair, is that what you're saying? If for me to actually be in the competition, I need to expand my shirt repertoire. And then Brian says, Mr. Hands. And then there was a question as to why Ardwolf was not in there. And that is Gary had redacted himself or recused himself, I should say, from that. And John Samey, he pulled his name from the thing because of being the director. It makes sense. So,
well, wouldn't you say the same thing though? Isn't Roger from C3I on the board too?
I don't know if he's still.
I think he either was or he is.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't be in there either. Well, there you go. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah.
Next.
No, that's a good point though. And then Stigler saying, I think Atlantic Chase won because it was the most innovative of that bunch. And then Atlantic Chase is considered best for the innovative approach to the fog of war problem in war games. Anyway, it's a question of preferences. And then Mike says, I have a video on my channel about gaming shirts. I'm not interested in solo games at all, but everything I saw actually tempted me to buy it. It seemed really clever. So then we go down here and we've got the James F. Dunnigan Design Elegance Award. And that went to, there was Jeremy White, Carl Fung, and the winner was David Thompson, who won this year. Excuse me. And he is the winner of the James Dunnigan Design Elegance Award.
Yes.
Clausewitz Hall of Fame. Volko Runko was in there, Michael Renella, William H. Keith Jr., and the winner was Chad Jensen. And that was, I don't think anyone's going to argue on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Charles S. Roberts, Best New Designer Award, Chuck Siegert, Anthony Burkett, Serge Betancourt, and their winner was Mark Rodriguez. So for Bayonets and Tomahawks. So that was who won that one this year. So and that is the rest of the Charlies right there. Let me get rid of that. But yeah, I mean, there's the good thing about the Charlies is it gives everybody a lot of content to talk about, and a lot of opinions are shared as far as what people think about the different categories and stuff, or not categories, but the winners and those who are in the categories. And Andrew says that yes, Roger is on the board.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's interesting.
And I agree with what Stuck on this one. Most innovative war games should be a category in itself. That is true. If you have something that's innovative, like everyone's saying with Atlantic Chase, with the Fog of War, then yes, then absolutely put it
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah, for sure.
Why do you hate submarine games? Part of the issue with negative reviews is that to give it a fair, thorough negative review is that you have to spend a bunch of time with a game you don't like. No one wants to waste gaming time on it. This is true. That's why.
To an extent.
Yeah. And that's why you don't see a lot of negative reviews on war games, especially because war games take a lot of time. Now, you can get a good read on a game fairly quick, but you could miss out on some nuance and give a game a negative review. And then, oh crap, if I played it a little deeper, a little more, I could have picked up on this thing that I overlooked or I misinterpreted. And yeah, okay, that changes the game. So that can happen too, but it depends on the level of time that you have to commit to it.
Right.
And it's not easy. So it really comes down to, something like, what's that?
No, go ahead. You're good.
I was stopping to take a drink anyway. Could have said something. But in the end, it really comes down to how much time you have to spend, how much time you're willing to spend, and give it a good overview, good review, positive or negative, either way.
Sure. I can slap out 200 reviews a year if I grab every game, grab the example of play, videotape it, and say, wow, this is a really interesting and great game, and then publish it, right? It's very different if you take a game and read the rule book yourself, set the game up, play a scenario or two, and if you are able to grok the system and understand it well enough and you think you've got a fair appreciation for it, I think you can make an informed opinion based on your gameplay, whether that's 5 turns out of 50 or 45 turns out of 50 or 100 turns out of 50. You can give your impressions and your thoughts on the gameplay and your experiences with it. Like, well, how did I feel when I was playing? Because that's really what it's about for me.
Sure.
How do I feel? If I was like am I digging a hole in nice rich soil, or am I trying to jackhammer my ass all the way through to China with through granite? I don't want to do that, right? I'm not going to kill myself to play a game. So I'm not going to do 100 turns.
I started laughing when you said 100 turns in a 50-turn game. I'll be like, and you'd give that a negative review because you played it wrong if you did 100 turns in a 50-turn game.
I'm saying I played it twice. No.
No, I know. Well, that saying that you played it twice is funny because I've heard people that don't do content online that criticize content creators say, you need to play a game at least 10 times to be able to review it.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you name a war game that could be played 10 times in a reasonable amount of time to do a review?
Right.
No one would be able to do that.
Yeah, not a lot. So that's not a valid way of looking at it.
Look, people that say, "Oh, I played it 10 times," and then give it a review, it doesn't garner any more credibility with me. It's the same with someone who says, "Well, you don't know the game unless you played the whole game and all the scenarios." Well, maybe you're just not smart enough to work it out. That's the way I look at it.
True.
Right? Everyone has their own way of absorbing and consuming content.
Jim says, I have hate reviewed my share of games. And he's prepared to name names.
Yeah,
name them.
Something tells me that Jim definitely would hate review some stuff.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I think this coming year is going to be interesting to see what's on the awards because there's a lot of good competitors that are going to be on there. And
we don't even know what the whole year has in store for us yet because there could be delays with production, things like that, push games to 24, just like games have got pushed from 20 to 21 and 21 to 22, things like that.
Yeah. Well, we've got stuff like A Most Fearful Sacrifice is going to be definitely a big one on there, but you've got the next World at War 85 one, Blood and Fury, should be releasing this year.
Yes.
Cross your fingers on that one. If everything works out right, that's going to be a big one. And I had another one in my mind that I just brain farted out.
Air and Armor from Compass Games. Rebooted that, which is somewhat of a redesign too. So it counts as a
especially
new game.
with the and speaking of innovation, I think what could separate that. One of the things that could separate that would be how they've innovated the solitaire system in that, where you can literally play solitaire using that system, and you can play 2-player using that same system, because you're not going to know where all your units are at any one time. Because you may have ordered this regiment over there, but it may not be there in time because things happen.
Right.
So hell will freeze over with pigs flying over when Stigler buys a decision game. That's not true. He is a huge decision games fan.
Yeah, he loves that stuff.
He loves decision games.
Decision games. They've got some good ones, like D-Day at Omaha Beach. That's a classic. Every war gamer likes that one.
Stigler is a huge decision games fan, and he is also a huge fan of clipping counters. So he just doesn't. He just doesn't say it.
You just have to have the wife clip the counters for you. For some reason, my wife loves that. She'll just sit there and clip away.
What was that?
Without breaking the fantastic commentary on last year's awards, do we want to touch on the poor white privilege of wargamers in regards to errata counters at all?
Sure. I mean, you have something about errata counters?
I'm missing.
You know how Flying Pig has been getting.
That one. Sure. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just curious what everyone else thinks in the group chat about if there are mistakes.
Give a background on it first for OST. Volume 1.
So for OST Volume 1, there were between 1 and 3, or maybe 4, individual RPG style counters that were missed in the reprint. And so they've provided a PDF. You can download it, print them, and stick them on a counter, and you're good to go. Or you can just use your brain and grab another counter and go, that's going to be something else. But they haven't offered yet to reprint those 3 or 4 counters. So that's kind of where it's at, right? And I know that that's been a little bit of a problem for Flying Pig in the past, where they released these relatively premium games that often have some counter errata or counter issues, and how they're handling it. What does the audience expect from a publisher when it comes to that type of stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, what do you expect from the publisher? Do you expect them to mail you counters, get new counters printed, mail you counters, put out a PDF so that way you can create your own, put them out in a magazine? We want to hear your voice in the chat as far as what you guys think. And
well, if the counter's missing, then they do kind of owe it to you. Because I'd look at it, I don't hold anyone at fault for making a mistake, because everyone's going to make a mistake. People are people. It's how you rectify that mistake. Yeah. If it's a card or a player aid or something, I could probably make do with a PDF and just be fine. It's like, it's paper, it's whatever. But counters are a little bit different. I don't really want to have a stand-in. I want to have the right counter. If it's just a little off-cut, I'll live. I'm not going to overly sweat it. But if it's just flat not there, then, they should probably print out a bunch of those and send them out to whoever needs them.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew's saying they should replace them in Yaw Magazine.
No, don't put it behind a paywall. That's a paywall.
Stigler says that VUCA sent out a reprint of their 1914 Knock Paris game because they were not happy with the quality. They sent them out on their own dime, unasked for, which is that's really great.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the GMT approach, which is have it done in the C3I magazine, or there's the Compass Games approach, which is pretty much jump on it and mail them all out to you with basically unasked. So there's a lot of different approaches, and I just think Mark Walker needs to decide what he wants to do about that, particularly given the price point. I would have said if it was a $40 game, I'd say, I'm probably okay with a PDF, right? It's not that big a deal. I'd like to have the counters, but I'm okay. But we're talking about 100 or 120 thereabouts, depending on which particular module it is. That's real money to people, and I would expect with the big counters and the gorgeous mounted maps that I would want to have that taken care of by the publisher.
Yeah.
What makes you feel more appreciated as a customer, though, and is going to keep you coming back? When Compass sends me those replacement counters without me having to track them down, without me having to email them and do all the back and forth, and it just arrives and I'm good to go. Or if I'm forced to buy a magazine or just print it off myself and make do. I appreciate the way Compass handles it.
Yep.
Agreed.
Well, they obviously have the right relationship with the printer somewhere where they can make that happen. We know that Flying Pig does all their stuff in China, so minimum run quantities and stuff like that cause issues. But
well, the other thing too is there was two or three. There are two different counter types. There, I think 4 each. And then there was satchel charges as well, I think, that were missing. So we're not talking just so those who are not familiar are keeping it in perspective. We're not talking about like an entire counter sheet missing. We're talking about just a handful of counters overall. That I'm not downplaying it. I'm just saying just to keep it in perspective. So,
but then if you look at some of the other titles that have had some issues as well, they could do a run and fix all that and just send a counter sheet to everybody, and I'd pay $3 for shipping or $5 for shipping, or whatever, just to get the counters done. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the best course of action. The best course, if you can, is to just print them out, mail them out, and don't even ask anybody anything. Just send them out. Print out your list of games that you shipped out, send them out, and then take those and then put them in the new boxes, or give them to your distributor to put in the box, or to ship with the box. If not, then PDF is the other option because there's just a handful of counters, and some most people
I'm just
not
going to do that. I can't be bothered. I don't do arts and crafts, so
I mean, some people will, some people won't. But as far as I agree, it should not be in a magazine. I've kind of grown tired of the errata magazines where it's like, hey, but you're getting a game, and we're getting a game with like X amount of counters in it, but then 40 to 65% of the counter sheet is errata counters or extra counters, or optionals. Extras are fine. Erratas I'm not as keen on. That's just me. I think I've kind of grown tired of that. It's like, but
yeah, I agree.
Well, because they shouldn't profit off their mistake, because they want to sell these magazines, right? So if they put the errata behind that, and now you want to complete your game, you have to go buy something else from them to complete your game.
Yeah,
you're effectively buying a second game to get all of your first game.
Well, a big stink about Pacific War, right? GMT's Pacific War, Mark Homer's Pacific War, but still a big stink about all the counters that are wrong or whatever. And I think that's all supposed to be coming in C3I, whether it's this one or the next one. So who knows? But people were pretty pissed off about that.
No, Brian, DVG makes mistakes? No, they would never make mistakes.
No.
Hey,
but
go ahead.
No, I was going to say that is a great point, though. Bringing that up about, I forgot we had talked about that, about the counters, because most people have been pretty understanding and pretty lenient on the whole. Well, we can just reprint them. I mean, not reprint them. We can just print out the PDF and make them ourselves, or we can just take them from another edition of the game that we have.
Right.
There's something to be said about that. There's also something to be said about holding publishers accountable in that regard. The publishers should be holding themselves accountable to their customers, and that's something. So maybe there'll be something that will come out of that, and we'll just have to wait and see if Flying Pig is going to do anything differently there or not. If it's just going to be
the thing that pisses me off, though, I think it's not really Flying Pig at all. It's there's always a handful of squeaky wheel whiners that really have made a huge issue.
Just put them on the P500.
That's funny. They've made a big issue out of just a handful of minor, right? And I don't want to go visit the Flying Pig Facebook page anymore because there's two guys that every time anyone posts anything, where are my counters? What's going on? Why can't I get my counters? They're really trying to dog on Flying Pig. So it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, I mean the problem there is when people, Eric's saying he's late to the party. You missed all the fun.
Obviously watching the wrong channel, buddy.
But the thing is if you have people that are, causing a ruckus or disruption in a thread, what you said right there is a good example of what happens. People just get turned off of going there because of that. So I think as a community, we have to make sure that we kind of police that ourselves and say, all right, you made your point. You complain about this or complain about that. And that person should just realize and either delete the comment themselves or just move on to something else. Because if you're going to keep going back there and beating a dead horse every other day, what's the point? It's not going to change anything. It's, stamping your feet, holding your breath doesn't work. Might have worked when you were 4, but it doesn't work when you're 40 or 50 or 60.
Exactly. They need an admin on that page.
Yeah.
I did have one other thing I wanted to bring up, and I'm probably going to need to leave in a minute. But
sure. Yeah, we're just about.
Okay. Cool. There's something about this freaking catalog. I've had it in my hands for the last 2 months, and I'm marking things and looking at it. It just takes me back to the 80s or something.
Good old days, yeah.
But the good old days, and I'm going, I wonder what that game's about. And I get online, I'm reading about it and stuff like that. Compass Sail has got, 7 days left? Or
8 days, I think, 25th, I think it is. Yeah.
I was looking at some of the stuff that's on sale, and there are games in here that I don't necessarily want. And I got to be careful because my wife is only like 6 feet away. But there's stuff that's like 60% discount. I'm thinking, I might have to just get that just to see. So if you
can put off building the house, it doesn't need to be done today,
dude. Now the roof trusses just got put in today, so we're like we stick out like a sore thumb on the hill. But anyway, this catalog is downloadable, of course. But I encourage everybody to go have a look at it, just because there are some actually pretty cool deals in here. And I've got all my stuff marked. I'm going to have a look at later, and we'll go from there. That's all I have to say.
So which ones are you getting?
I don't think he wants to say right now.
That wouldn't be a good idea, buddy.
Put you on a gun. Yeah, no, it's like, I want to get these $350 worth of games. No. Let's see. What else we got here? We can do they did an entire 2.5 hour podcast on that. And
that's cool. Yeah, I usually do a video.
Fango. Is that a new game? Comat 2?
Comat. Yeah, I need to grab that actually.
That's the knockoff version, Comat. Instead
of
Combat.
Actually, to say this about Combat 2, I did a whole overview of the new components of that thing, and I was really surprised because it's a big box. There's a lot of stuff in it, and I was like, oh my God, how is this not just a standalone game? But then when I actually got into it and dug into the components and saw what was all in there, it's all new stuff. A whole campaign system, an RPG system, the wind's blowing,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's right.
But a bunch of cool new stuff. So if you like Combat 1, definitely get Combat 2. Okay. It really expands of what was good about Combat 1 and just makes it new and better and awesome and RPG and all that cool stuff. I like the campaign system and that.
Well, the thing about Combat itself is a great system, and it's a deep system, meaning there's a lot to it. There's a lot for you to explore over time. You add Combat 2 to it, and it just makes it like, wow, I got years worth of stuff to play around with this.
I'm super pumped. Pumped. Dude, I read the rules already. I got to get through this GCACW thing. It's been sitting here for 2 friggin' weeks. God, I haven't moved a piece.
Yeah.
So I got to get through that, but I've read the rules. I'm ready to rock and roll on that bad boy.
It's when you see like Combat 2, you're like, damn, why can't I be like a high school kid with the entire summer off and no job? So I can just sit there for 2.5, 3 months in my room or at the kitchen table or whatever, just
in my PJs,
playing battles every day, because you would just have so much to have fun with. And then you can even do do the narrative stuff on your site. You can do all the narrative for that, because it just creates it for you as you're playing,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
I'm pretty pumped about it.
Yeah. So any last comments from the crowd? Because we're going to wrap up here, but I wanted to give everybody a chance to have any last comments about anything we've covered tonight, or anything you'd like to see on the next show. Actually, the next show should be interesting, because we were going to do that this month, but instead we're going to be pushing it to February. Speaking of Flying Pig, we're going to have Mark Walker on and Herm Luttman. They're going to be on to talk about, because actually Mark is the one who brought this up, about covering games for content creators and gamers, everybody who's into games. How do you keep rules straight in your head reading so many rules? Because
You just don't.
go from I don't. Yeah, I screw rules up if I try to run too many systems through my head. But how do you do that? And I know Kev's really great for that, going from one system to the next. It's like, how do we do that? And it also raises the question, how do we do that? Number one. And then number two, are we giving each of these games a fair shake because we're jumping from game to game, or are we just kind of glossing over it to a degree, without really diving into it? Whereas other people will sit down and just dig into a game for 2 or 3 months. And it's like, well, we don't have the time to do that. Whereas maybe one other person is just diving into that one game for the next 2 or 3 months. That's what they're doing on their channel or just on their own or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different level altogether.
Yeah.
But how do you keep all these things in your
I'm
head?
excited about that conversation. It'd be cool. I've got 10 or 12 years of like serious gaming left in me. And after that, it's going to have to be shit that I can do without having to have a brain. So, I'll be buying Undaunted and Atlantic and U-Boat, and, I'll be going, oh, this is the best game ever. I can't believe I waited until I was nearly dead. But I've got 12 years of high quality, what I would call high quality, into deeper gaming left in me, I think. So I want to play all of the stuff that I'm excited about. And then, I can deal with the ash and trash later, and we'll deal with the easy stuff. That's kind of my credo anyway, that I'm trying to grind through stuff in a good way.
The next show will be next month.
I actually commented that to someone earlier today. He had made a comment on one of my videos and was pointing out some rules mistakes. And I was like, look, dude, I'm like, the flat out truth of it is, at any one point, I've got 3 to 4 games in my head, because I have the game that I'm playing, the game that I just played, and then the game that I'm learning, or the 2 games that I'm learning. Right. Because I'm not just focused on what I'm doing right now. I've got to get prepared for the one that's upcoming. I've got to clear out the cobwebs from the one that I had just done. And if they're too similar, they do start to kind of blur together.
Yeah. So I played Lock and Load Tactical probably 200 or more times, maybe. I had to pull the rule book out and look stuff up the other day, because I'd just been doing something else. I just read the combat rules. And I was like, I can't believe I can't remember this. And I actually got on the Facebook group because I couldn't find my rule book in the freaking disaster of this place that we're living in. So I'm posting questions and like, dude, this is like rules 101 shit. What's your problem?
Yeah.
Right, so anyway, they were helpful. So it's good. Anyway.
That's true. Sequence of play cards do help. And there was another comment up here. Oh, yeah. A voice echoing from the kitchen. Mo, did you cut the lawn yet? Well, talking about voices and rule books and stuff like that depends on if I have taken my meds or not, how many voices are in my head as far as how many rule books I can remember, because they all talk to me and tell me the different rules.
Right. Me, it's how many whiskeys I've had.
Well, that too. And then a last question for Bayonet Brant. Why didn't Kev and Gimpy come to the ACDC? Because they don't like you. That's not the answer.
A, I didn't really know it was on. B, I was out of town. I was at a wedding.
He was out of town. And Nate, why didn't you? Oh, no, you didn't have your camera anyway.
My phone was broke up until a few days ago, and it wouldn't have mattered. I was down until just a couple days ago because I had that spinal thing done.
Yeah.
So, they did all that thing, and he did it twice. He did the left side of the spine one time, and then the right side of the spine. But the right side of the spine, he nicked the bone, so that burned for a few days. So I spent a couple of days just kind of laid up, putting together minis and painting and shit.
Nice.
Yeah, that's not fun. And well, yeah,
That
the funny
hurt.
thing is, yeah, that was one of the things that I also did on my vacation was I kind of jacked my back up again, and I noticed that some of the pain that I had taken care of 2 years ago was coming back. So I'm going to go back in for another rhizotomy to burn off those nerves because that pain's starting to come back. So I was like, oh well, what can you do? It's only supposed to last 2 years, and it lasted me about 2.5. So I think I got a little extra 6 months bonus on that.
Bonus 6 months. Yeah,
Exactly.
cool.
Well, let me say this before we get off here. You guys stay tuned for some more Assault Red Horizon. I got that coming up.
Mhm.
The Nuega, I can't say it's a Vietnam word, Vietnam game from Cadet Games, going to be covering that. Second Front from, I want to say, Microprose. I kept wanting to say Matrix Games, Microprose, and then the final part of the tutorial for Flashpoint Campaign Southern Storm. I got all of those in the works, plus some other stuff.
It's turning into an old fort show. So John, we will bring you on next time.
Sure.
Drink
Need to
more
get
scotch.
Mark
There we go.
Herman for that one.
Oh, wow. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the night. I think we got all the last comments and questions in there from the Peanut Gallery. And we appreciate you guys tuning in this week or this month, I should say. We will be back next month, sometime around the middle of the month. It depends on, everyone's schedules. We try to do it as we always do on a Tuesday, but we don't set anything in stone because hey, we all got lives and things happen.
Right.
So, occasionally, sometimes we get 2 shows in a month, but next month we will have, like I said, Herm Letman and Mark Walker from Flying Pig Games. So it should be a real interesting show. And appreciate you guys.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. So appreciate you guys tuning in tonight, and we will see you on the next show. Have a good night, everyone.